Hi everyone, it's Diane from Boho Stamper. Welcome. Thanks for being here. I had to look at my screen for a minute. This shopping code looks like it's backwards for some reasons. I don't know. It's fine. It's fine though. It was just the way I looked at it. I thought I had this on the back side. So welcome. Hope you all had a great weekend. And if you had some nice weather, I hope you had a chance to enjoy that. Today, we're kind of going to go back to basics. And the reason I thought of this today was because I am going to begin my stamp classes back up here in May. And so if you are local and you're interested in making some cards, these will be all-inclusive cards. All of your products will be supplied for you, and we'll make 3 cards for $15. And these will be on Tuesday mornings at 10 o'clock. And I have one scheduled for each of the following months. I printed this, and then the dates are so small on here I can hardly see them. May 24th will be the first one, and we'll use some stamps from the new annual catalog to make our 3 cards. So that's May 24th at 10 a.m., June 21st at 10 a.m., July, I can't see it. Let me grab my phone. I think I did take a snapshot of it because I couldn't see the dates. They're too small. It is, oh, there we go. May 24th, June 21st, July 19th, we'll do Christmas in July. We'll make 3 Christmas cards. August 16th, September 27th, October 18th will be our holiday card making class, and not necessarily Christmas. There could be like a pumpkin or a turkey thrown in there too. November 15th and December 13th. Tried to keep that one a little bit away from Christmas so that it didn't interfere with holiday plans. Yeah, so those will be at 10 a.m. They are on my Facebook page. I will add them to my website. I didn't want to add that out there right now because I had just posted the information, well, my update and my video with Sweet Songbirds. And so if I add another post, it's going to knock that one down to the bottom, and I didn't want to lose that yet. I also have on my webpage the used stamp sets that I am offering so that I can make room for some more new stamp sets so we can play more. So anyways, while I was getting those dates ready, and I was thinking, people were a little intimidated sometimes when, and we still will do some die cutting, but it'll be mostly papers, ink, stamps, very simple. But if there is something to be die cut, demonstrators don't do your stamp for you, so you would have to stamp it and we'll die cut it, but I'm there to help. But I know for some reason I had a couple of gals that when they had to die cut, they were like, oh no, I can't do that. I can't. You can. It's really easy, and I'm there to help you. So yeah. And I've learned a couple of tips and tricks to help make it easier for all of us. So if you're local and you want to have a little fun, check those dates out on either my Facebook page or my bohostamper.com website. You can email me at diane@bohostamper.com if you are interested in any of those classes, and we'll get you registered. I do have limited seating. I don't have a castle or a mansion or anything, so I kind of have to know how many are coming ahead of time. And I want to have all of your supplies ready. So if we're going to do basic stamping, I thought maybe it would be wise to go back and make a card for folks who are maybe just starting out and they see a stamp set and they're like, oh, I like that. That's so pretty. And for me, Nature's Prints, this is one of the new stamp sets. Pull out any stamp set that you haven't used. Just pull one out. And why did you get that? For me, I like the fern. I know it sounds silly, but I liked this fern. This reminds me of when my husband and I go camping, and there's ferns all along the creek and along the Clarion River under the trees. It's all lush and beautiful, and you can smell the earth, and I love it. Not to mention the sayings that are on here, and I love the font. This nice, thin, scripty font really caught my eye. All right, so, before we get into that, I guess I better hurry up and tell you. With the May shopping code, when you use that shopping code and shop with Boho Stamper, and if you spend $50 or more in product, my thank you gift, and I had some out here, I don't know where, I think I put them away when I started making the card, are going to be the pastel pearls. And those are in gorgeous grape, blue, Highland Heather, and pink. So I'll send you a package of those beautiful pastel pearls when you spend $50. And oh, there's some here. These are my used ones that I use all the time. So obviously your pack would be nice and new. And $100, I will thank you with those pearls and the in color matte decorative dots. Now my one card today, I'm using matte decorative dots. These are not the new in colors, though. I don't have the in color ones yet, but these are some that I had. I think these were from the pets, Christmas pet one. I'm not sure, but anyways, the greens went well with my card, and so that's another thing. Use some of the stuff that you have. So again, those are out on my webpage. You can always check that shopping code, and when you use that, then I get notified and I can send out my thank yous. And I don't usually send those until the month is over. So this is my May promotion, and so I would send those out after the end of May. So I need to know how many packs of everything to order. Okay, so back to the basics anyway. Now, when I got Nature's Prints, I did get the dies and the embossing folder and the designer series paper, because this was one of the suites that was available to demonstrators in their pre-order, and it was one that I had on my wish list anyway, so that was perfect for me. So the other reason I got this stuff was because I loved the blue. I love the blue paper. I think it's just gorgeous. This has to be, I probably would frame that or make that wallpaper. Not really. My husband would kill me, but I love this. So I got these things. And then maybe I lay them out and I'm thinking, now what do I do with them all? You know, I got them and I don't know what to do with them. Or maybe you don't have a die cutting machine yet. So you didn't get the dies. And you don't have an die cut and emboss machine. So maybe you didn't think about getting the embossing folder yet. Although I would say that as you progress in your card making, a die cut machine is a great investment. And I would recommend that if you're going to choose one, you choose the larger and not the smaller, as we demonstrated with our wreath card last week. The mini cut and emboss, which is wonderful, handles about a 3.5 inch die, and this wreath didn't fit. Now I'm thinking I might have laid it that way. Maybe it would fit lengthwise, but it isn't one that is recommended for the mini cut and emboss. So if you have the full size one, you have no worries. And then later on, you know, if you decide you want the smaller one, it'll be there too, which is really handy to have right beside you, I have to confess, but it doesn't accommodate every die. Okay, so that leaves me with my paper and my stamps. I got the paper because I liked it, and I got the stamp set. So now what do? Oftentimes, our paper speaks for us, and we've done cards where we let the designer series paper do the work for us. Some of these are so beautiful that the one that I love, oh, and I cut that up for today. You could cut this out in a rectangle and then just add another rectangle on front with your greeting, and you don't even need to add any elements, and it would make a gorgeous card, just plain and simple like that with your designer series paper. But today we're going to play with the stamps. So I wanted my stamps to do the work for me. We're also going to do a little bit of this or that. Do you like this or that? And these were the first cards. And this is my third time trying to make this video. I had so many interruptions the other day that I just closed my computer and said, I'll do it again later. So I did one card on Soft Succulent and one card on Shaded Spruce. Soft Succulent is a newer color. Maybe you don't have that. Maybe you have Shaded Spruce because it's been around forever and it looks beautiful on there. So I have ready for us a piece of gray granite because that is the color that is listed on the back of my designer series paper, gray granite. I do have some shaded spruce, and I have a soft succulent. And is this not weird? I'm not using the blue, but I wanted to make a fern, and I want the fern to be my focal point, and so I'm not going to make it blue. Oh, that gray blends in with my cardboard. And then I took some of the designer series paper that I thought would look pretty with green. And because gray granite is the color that is listed on there, I picked a couple of the designer series papers in gray granite and a piece of Whisper, whoops, sorry about that, basic white, not Whisper white anymore. Where'd that come from? I've been doing really well. And these are all cut at 3 1/4 by 4 1/2. And I'm going to layer these up on my card base. It's going to give attention to my stamped focal point on the white. So again, these are all 3 1/4 by 4 1/2. And we're just going to make them a little wonky on our card. Okay, so before we get stamping, and we're going to have to decide, do we want this or that? Do I want green or gray? Then when I want to do my sentiment, if I don't have a die cutting machine, I can't use the dies to cut these out, but maybe I have a punch. Your basic shape punches, just circles or rectangles or whatever. These would work great. I had a 1 3/4 inch punch and a 2-inch punch. And so I did just cut some circles out here so that I could layer them up and see how they were going to look. And when we get to making the card, I'll show you why I picked 2 colors. And eventually I did end up using white on gray on this one. But on my original card, my circles were punched out at the same size. So that was one option. The other option is just to cut a strip and stamp my greeting on a strip of paper using my paper trimmer. Or maybe you have the lovely Labels Pick-a-Punch, which is wonderful. You can use this for a 1/2 inch, a 3/4 inch, or a 1 inch strip. And I had to write those down because I always forget. And then your strip is just going to slide into your punch. I always check it on the back to make sure that my scallops are in the center of the paper and punch, and it gives you a decorative edge. So that's an option. So these are just some of the basics to think about when you're considering what do you want to do with a stamp set. All right, so I liked my fern, so let's start with the fern. This. And did I put my inks away? No, they're here. Okay. Oh, I needed to decide, do I want to use green or gray? Well, it doesn't really matter. My fern is going to be green anyway. I'm not going to stamp a gray fern. I guess you could. And I just have a piece of scrap copier paper here because I'm going to need a 2nd generation, excuse me, or a stamped off image of my fern. Oh, goodness, open. And this is the shaded spruce first that I'm using. I'm just going to ink up my stamp. It's better if I can see what I'm doing. And I'm stamping it in the middle of my basic white rectangle. And then I'm going to move over slightly and stamp it again. And that is 2nd generation or stamped off images. Now I want another light one over here, So I'm going to ink up my stamp, stamp it on a piece of scrap paper, and then add it to my card front. And there is the beginning of a card. All you got to do is get started. Stamp something, and then the card kind of evolves and progresses on its own. I mean, that's basically how I start. I just take what I liked off of my stamp set and stamp an image down first and think, no, what are you going to do with that? Okay. In the stamp set, there's also some splotching marks. So I thought maybe it was kind of nice to fill in the space around my ferns just with some light splotching marks. And so using the basic gray, oh, why did I put that? I gotta stamp those off. I didn't want to use full strength because, again, my fern is my focal point. And so I just made a mess on my grid paper is what I'm gonna do, because I need this scrap paper under my image so that I can stamp off the edge of my paper and not get my mat dirty. This is just going to add a little bit of interest and take up some of the blank white space in the back. I don't need any extra tools. This stamp was already included in my stamp set. You just want to make sure that you move your stamp around a little bit. Don't always stamp them in the same position. And stamp them off the edge of your paper so that it doesn't look too patterned, too pre-planned. That off. And get my my chamois out there to clean my stamps with. And it just fills in your space a little bit more so that your focal point doesn't look quite so naked and alone. Okay. And I had the 2 gray granite pieces of designer series paper that I'm going to do a little wonky. We're going to go that way, and then this one's going to be, oops, that way, and this one's going to be straight. Okay, so do I like this on the shaded spruce or on the gray? Oh, the shaded spruce for sure. Yep. Makes that paper much more noticeable. So let's just use some Stampin' Seal Plus and add our paper. It doesn't take a lot. It's just designer paper. It's not going to go anywhere, so I don't have to worry about putting a ton of glue on that. And I just want to make sure that I get my corners on my card. And do this one in the opposite direction. And making sure I get my corners on the card. And then this is one of the hardest parts of the card for me, is trying to line this up straight now that I have 2 tilted pieces of paper on the card. It's just an illusion, and I really need to be careful and get it off my finger. And there we go. Not bad for just not knowing what you want to do once you get your stamps in. I know if you're like me, like I'll see pictures of cards, I'm thinking, oh, that's so pretty, I'm going to make that, I'm going to get a stamp set and do that, and I put it on my Pinterest board, or I take a picture of it, or whatever. Well, then by the time I order the stamp set and it comes in, and I'm looking at it and I'm thinking, what was I going to do with this? And then I could spend a half an hour maybe looking for the photo that I took or saved. And 9 times out of 10, my card's not going to look just like that in the end anyways. I just wanted that for inspiration. So if I just start playing with the stamps, I get a lot further. Okay, and then we can use just our basic shapes. If I were to stamp on this gray granite and add it to the front of, even the bigger one, add it to the front of my card, it looks okay, but it kind of gets lost in the background stamp. So if I have a little bit of a frame around it, put it on this side this time. I also could, well, that's not going to be big enough to stamp on, is it? Some more basic white over here. We can stamp just right on basic white. And stamp set, where'd you go? Hit it. I think I'm going to go with hello there. I think that's what I did on the other one too, because it fit nice in that circle. Hello there. And I'm going to use Shaded Spruce again. I guess I'm being in a pretty monochromatic mood here, which means I'll need to stamp on the lighter of the 2 cardstocks for it to show up. Oh, I had a little blocked out there. Goof. Pretty. And I'm actually going to do this on the white and on the gray, because I don't know which one I want to use this time. I need to pull my chamois out here. Oh, man, a little guy. I got some ink to clean. Thank you. I like that better. It keeps my stamps a little bit drier so they're ready to use right away the next time. Okay. So, let's see. Do I want it in gray or do I want it in white? Well, the white stands out much nicer, doesn't it? Yes, it does. So this or that. I'm going to have to go with the white. Okay. This ink put away before I put my whole hand into it. So we know that's where that'll go. I had Shaded Spruce all over my hands yesterday, and I don't really know why, unless it's in my chamois from cleaning my stamps off here. That could be. All right. Let's put this down on its little border. And these are just circles cut right from a circle punch. And then if you have some dimensionals, maybe you'd like to pop this up a little bit on the front of your card. Instead of just laying it on there flat. If you don't have dimensionals, you can certainly just glue this right to the front of your card and it will look just as pretty. The font takes care of that for you. And then the classic matte dots, which are going to still be available, I believe. And these are kind of cool because they almost look ombre on in the packaging with white, vanilla, gray, black. It's really very pretty. And they've come in handy. I've used them quite a few times. And look at that for not knowing how I wanted to start out with a stamp set. Cute, right? And this is great for, this will be nice for get well. Yeah, hello there. Hope you're feeling a little better today. Okay, so we've already decided that I don't think that the Designer Series paper stood out very well on the gray granite. So we'll just use soft succulent to do the other one also. And we're going to do this one just a little bit differently. I guess I should have pointed out that when you use a pattern paper such as this, to make sure that your images are right side up. And this one has a little scripty in it actually. And you can't really read it, but it does almost look like there's an up and a down. But what if you don't have Designer Series paper? Maybe you didn't get that either. Maybe you just got the stamp set because you thought it was pretty. Okay, well, let's work with that. Here's our little 3 1/4 by 4 1/2 inch white, basic white panel that we're going to do our ferns on. And again, I'm going to do 3 ferns in the center of the card. Where my little scrappy paper go? I don't know where I put it already. One, 2. I need to stamp that one off once. And 3. I keep going too high off the camera, don't I? I'm so sorry. Okay. Now, I'm not going to put my splotchies on that. We're going to add some splotchies to our card base instead. Oh, there's my scrap paper. I was going to say, I really do wish I had that scrap paper. So, rather than use the gray this time, we're going to use soft succulent. Here's my thing. I don't know if I want to do this full strength because I'm doing it on soft succulent or if I want to stamp it off once. So let's see what each one might look like on here. Well, this is full strength and that's stamped off once. Stamped off once, you almost can't see it, but it might look better. Let's stamp off once. Oh, why not? And remember now, our stamped fern is going to be in the center, so I don't have to have these little watermark shapes through my whole card. Sorry, I went quiet. I was just kind of concentrating there on where I was putting my little splotches. Now I can add my ferns to the front of that. And I'll hold that up so you can see what a difference that made on my card base, should I not have any designer series paper to go behind it. See what a little bit around the edges does make a difference. Okay. So I have a 1-inch strip of the soft succulent that I think I want to use for my greeting here. But I want to stamp my greeting on basic white. I want it to stand out a little bit better with my soft succulent ink. And I'm making a thank you. Heartfelt thank you. And I have no idea where my brain was when I was adding the label to the front of that stamp, but I have it on there so crooked. I think that, like right now, I don't have the light shining on my work table. And I couldn't really see what I was doing, and it shows. Yes, it's horrible. Yeah, I think the soft succulent is a little bit too light for my greeting to have been stamped on the green strip itself. Trying to make sure I don't have ink on my hands so I don't smear my white paper. That always is sort of discouraging when you're about done with your card and then you pick it up and put a thumbprint on there. Done that a few times. Okay, so I want to have a little bit of a border on each side. There, I guess. And I need to trim it down because it's just a little bit too wide for my liking. Might be a little crooked too. Straighten this up a little. Get off of there. Good Lord. They all want to be a part of the card, you know? Sorry, I'm just trying to even up my thank you looks straight, but a heartfelt looks like it's going downhill. It's kind of weird. Is it an illusion? Could be. Okay, so now I either can add this directly to my card, which looks a little bit blah, or I can use this leftover soft succulent that I have. Well, here's my problem, because this is the same width as my thank you. But we can fix that easily. I need to have this a little bit longer than my little sentiment piece here. Actually, I can make it as long as I want to because I can always trim it off of the edge when we're done. I want to make sure I have enough room to put this in my little punch. This is another good label punch if you happen to have this one. That fits around a lot of card greetings from stamp sets that we have. But let's do the lovely labels pick a punch here. I think I'm going to use this little scalloped edgy one. Whoop, not you. Yeah. And I'm going to put my soft succulent strip into the punch. And if you have it cut just right, it's going to fit down into the little grooves that the punch has. I still like to double check that on the back and get my little punched scallop centered. And then I'm going to cut it right down the middle. I'm just lining up the center of that little scallop in the track of my trimmer and slicing it right down the center. Now I can take my greeting that I've stamped and a little bit of glue, and we'll add some glue right across the top. Oh, where's my little mat so I can lay this down? There we go. So along the top and the bottom of my stamped greeting. Then I can line this up like a little frame. Let's do one edge at a time. I think I want it for here. Oh, look at me, I'm moving it all over the place. Stop that. I used the Tombow multi-purpose glue, which is good because it gives you a couple of seconds to play around with your paper before it dries, but it's bad because your paper can move around before it dries. Guess you can't have your cake and eat it too, right? Okay. I don't like that. I liked my other one better. Oh, I know why. I'm a ding dong. Can we get that off of there? We can. Okay. Because I didn't punch this one, and I wanted to. Silly girl. Get some of the glue off of there. That's why it's not making it's not lining up right. Like, why is this leaving such a big empty space around it? Because you can punch the edge. Now let's see what a difference this will make. I'm not wasting my paper either. I'm using this stuff. Yep. There we go. That looks better. I really couldn't figure out why the shadow behind my label was not coming out right. And then I'm just leaving the tiniest of borders. And yep, I got some glue on there. I'll have to trim that off, or clean that off, sorry. And I just washed my gluey scissors, so they're stuck in here somewhere. I don't really want to use my snips. Over there. And I'm going to cut this the same length as my label. There's my little glue eraser. since I was being sloppy. Better. And this way I have a little bit of a border around it and makes it stand out much more on my card. And cut that very straight. I can't cut a straight line to save my life. That's why the trimmer is my friend. It's one of my best friends. Oh, that's nice. Much straighter. Okay. So maybe you have just a little bit of ribbon lying around that you think maybe that would dress it up just a bit more. And I think I do. Oh, let's see. That is... I think this is a soft succulent. Yes, it is. I have some soft succulent ribbon. How about that? Well, before I glue this down, I think I'm going to put a little piece of ribbon around here. Glue dots, glue dots. And for me, this is the easiest way for me to do my ribbon around a panel. I just use a glue dot. And this is how I'm going to fill in that little bit of emptiness behind my fern. And if you don't have ribbon, maybe have some twine. Or do you have a piece of packaging string? That would look pretty. I use twine and ribbon a lot. The linen thread, the linen twine from the catalog works beautifully. I have some of that sitting right there. I guess I could have used it. But I also knew I had soft succulent ribbon still sitting in my tray. All right. This is the linen thread. You can use that to tie a bow around. Whatever you might have handy. And then I can add that to the front of my card. Yeah. As I tear my paper. Center this. Oh, me and my glue. Getting it everywhere. Okay. Yep. Add my thank you. Maybe I want to put a bow on here too. Where did I put those? Well, I'm having a scissor dilemma today, huh? Everything I pick out of here is not the right scissor. These were just dimensionals that were left from paper pumpkin kit. I always throw those up in my little bin here of glue dots and dimensionals, and try to use up any little bits and pieces that are left on them, maybe from card classes or whatever. I think I mentioned Paper Pumpkin before when I was using little pearls. Paper Pumpkin is a monthly card making kit offered by Stampin' Up, and they're wonderful. They always send extra elements. You always have little leftover bits. And so I tend to throw those down in my bin or up here. I keep them and use them. I think I'm going to add a little bow to this one. Now you see how this card has kind of just taken on its own design. It's being just way different than the other ones that I made. I didn't plan this out, it just is sort of happening. But it wouldn't get there if you didn't get those stamp sets out and play with them. So those stamps that you haven't really known what to do with, give it a go. Take them out and stamp an image and see where you can get to from it. Let your card talk to you. Let it speak to you. No, really, they do kind of, I don't know, it just kind of tells you what it wants or what it needs. You know, this one said to me, I need ribbon because you put the splotchy marks on the card base and now I look a little bit naked. And I don't think I want my ribbons to hang down straight on this one. I want them to be a little more artsy looking, so I'm just going to let them go where they go. I do have those matte dots. I think I'll add a couple of those little green dots. I don't even know what colors these are, to be honest. But it looks pretty good with the soft succulent. And so, there I've used one of my new stamp sets that I didn't know what I wanted to do with. Made two completely different looking cards. Actually, this one's my favorite. And that's the one that was more spur of the moment. Because the other two that I made during my watched videos, but they're all three different. And so there you go. Take your stamp sets out and play with them. Pick an image. You know, I think next time I might do this little spriggy one here. That's a pretty flower. That would be pretty in the new Sweet Sorbet color. But I got to use that blue. Goodness, I love the blue. All right, guys. So remember, go out to bohostamper.com. Check out those dates for classes if you're local. Email me at diane@bohostamper.com if you're interested in any of them. And those will not be cards that we do in follow-up videos. The cards that we make in our classes are for our class members. So they'll be completely different. It may be kind of a similar layout to something you've seen, but it won't be a card that I do a video on and share that, because if people are going to pay and come and make a card, I want them to have something a little bit unique. Everybody enjoy your week. Stop back and visit again. And thank you all for being here. Bye.